Some crimes end with an arrest. Others become legends. On November 24, 1971, a man hijacked a Boeing 727, collected $200,000 in ransom, then parachuted into a violent storm, and vanished forever. More than 5 decades later, no one knows what really happened to the man the world remembers as D.B. Cooper. For more than 5 decades, investigators have chased a man who seemed to vanish into thin air. The hijacking of Northwest Orient Flight 305 remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in U.S. commercial aviation history, leaving behind one of the FBI's greatest mysteries. The details are chilling: a passenger, a bomb, and a daring escape into the freezing night of Washington state. How did he disappear without a single trace? It began on November 24, 1971. A man approached a ticket counter in Portland, Oregon, looking like any other businessman traveling on a very busy Thanksgiving Eve. He purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. He paid $20 in cash and signed his name in bright, unmistakable red ink on the document. The name on his ticket was Dan Cooper, but a mistake by a United Press International reporter changed history, and the world forever called him D.B. Cooper. Once aboard the Boeing 727, Cooper took a seat in the very last row. He ordered a bourbon and soda, appearing calm and entirely unremarkable to others. He wore a black suit, a white shirt, and a dark tie. His eyes were hidden behind a pair of classic, dark horn-rimmed sunglasses, masking his identity. The atmosphere changed when he passed a handwritten note to flight attendant Tina Mucklow. Initially, she thought it was just a passenger's attempt at a casual pickup. But Cooper's demeanor was serious. He told her to read the note, which contained a terrifying claim. "I have a bomb" was written on the paper. To prove his threat, he opened a briefcase. Inside, Tina saw wires, a battery, and several red sticks, confirming the presence of a dangerous explosive device. Cooper's demands were precise. He wanted $200,000 in ransom and 4 parachutes to be waiting for him upon the aircraft's landing in Seattle. The crew complied to save lives. After landing at SeaTac, the 36 passengers were released, but the pilots and flight attendants had to remain on board. Cooper demanded the plane refuel and fly toward Mexico City. The aircraft, a Boeing 727, took off again, heading into the dark, turbulent Pacific Northwest skies. At an altitude of roughly 10,000 feet, the plane traveled at 196 miles per hour. The wind chill was well below zero outside. Suddenly, Cooper ordered the rear stairs to be extended. This was an unusual maneuver that airport officials had not fully anticipated during the initial hijacking. Using the aircraft's aft door, Cooper deployed the air stair. With the ransom money strapped to him, he stepped out into the cold, dark, and stormy night. He parachuted into the heavily wooded remote areas of southwest Washington. No one saw him land, and no parachute was ever recovered from the dense forest. The FBI launched an immediate, massive manhunt. They searched the rugged terrain of Washington, but the wilderness kept the hijacker's secrets tightly locked away from them. For years, investigators combed through the woods and mountains. They found no body, no clothing, and no evidence that the man had ever survived the jump. The case became a legend. Was he a master criminal or a man who met a sudden, violent end in the dark, unforgiving canopy of the trees? Then, in February 1980, a breakthrough occurred. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was playing near the banks of the Columbia River in Washington. While smoothing sand for a campfire, Ingram discovered something unusual. He found 3 deteriorating packs of $20 bills, still bound by old rubber bands. This was a portion of the ransom money. Specifically, $5,800 had been found, providing the FBI with their first real clue since 1971. The bills were weathered and decayed from years in the elements. They were the exact same serial numbers that the FBI had tracked since the hijacking. This discovery changed everything. It suggested that Cooper's jump might have taken him much closer to the Columbia River than investigators had originally believed. However, the find also raised new questions. Did the money fall from his person, or was it dropped separately during his descent through the night sky? The FBI analyzed the location meticulously. the banks near Vancouver, Washington, became a focal point for a renewed and intensive investigation into the hijacker's fate. Despite the discovery, the remaining money was never found. The majority of the $200,000 remained missing, scattered somewhere in the vast Northwest wilderness. Investigators looked at many potential suspects over the decades. One name that emerged from the files was Raymond Sidney Russell, a pilot from western Maine. Files revealed that the FBI had examined Russell's background extensively. However, no definitive link could ever be proven to tie him to the Dan Cooper alias. The FBI's composite sketch became iconic. It showed a man with sharp features, dark hair, and those unmistakable horn-rimmed sunglasses haunting the public imagination. The hijacking changed aviation forever. It was a wake-up call that prompted immediate and major upgrades to security measures at airports across the United States. Metal detectors were installed to screen passengers. Baggage inspections became mandatory, and cash-paying travelers faced much more scrutiny to prevent such daring crimes from recurring. For 45 long years, the FBI maintained an active investigation. They built an extensive case file, but the identity of the man remained a complete mystery. In 2016, the FBI officially suspended the active investigation. While the case was technically closed, the search for the truth continues in many different ways. Amateur sleuths, journalists, and private investigators still pursue numerous theories. They pore over old files, hoping to find the one piece of evidence that matters. Was he a master criminal or a man who met a sudden, violent end in the dark, unforgiving canopy of the trees? The legacy of D.B. Cooper lives on. He remains the only documented, unsolved case of air piracy in the entire history of commercial aviation. Every time a plane flies over the rugged Washington wilderness, people wonder if he is still out there, or if he became part of it. The mystery remains as captivating today as it was in 1971. The man in the black suit continues to baffle the world's greatest investigators. From the Portland ticket counter to the Columbia River, the trail is cold. But the story of Dan Cooper will never truly be forgotten by history. What do you think happened to him? Was it a perfect crime or a tragic mistake? The answer lies somewhere in the shadows of the past. As we look back at these files, the questions only grow louder. The sky holds its secrets, and D.B. Cooper is its greatest keeper. Some believe he survived and lived a quiet life under a new name. Others believe the forest claimed him on that stormy, dark November night. The evidence is sparse, but the impact is massive. A single man changed the way the entire world flies, leaving a permanent mark on history. The $200,000 ransom, the 4 parachutes, the Boeing 727. These details form the skeleton of a crime that defies all logical explanation and resolution. Even the FBI's most seasoned agents couldn't crack the code. The files are full of leads that ultimately led to nothing but more questions. We see the same patterns in every theory. Some point to military experience, while others suggest he was a seasoned professional in the criminal underworld. Yet, no fingerprints, no DNA, and no body were ever found. He was a ghost from the moment he stepped onto that Northwest Orient flight. The wind chill, the altitude, the darkness. It was a suicide mission for anyone but a person with incredible skill and almost superhuman nerves. We remember the name, even if we don't know the man. D.B. Cooper is more than a criminal. He is a permanent American legend. The mystery of Flight 305 is a testament to the unknown. It reminds us that even in a world of data, some things remain hidden. Every year, new theories emerge, fueled by new technology and fresh eyes. But the core of the mystery remains as solid as ever before. From the black suit to the red ink signature, every detail of the hijacking is etched into the annals of American true crime history. As the investigation officially ended, the legend only grew. The silence of the Washington woods is the only response to our enduring curiosity. Was he a hero of crime or a victim of circumstance? The debate continues to rage among investigators and enthusiasts across the entire globe. The case of D.B. Cooper is a puzzle with missing pieces, and those pieces might be buried deep beneath the forest floor forever. We continue to study the files, the maps, and the money. We search for the man who jumped into the void and disappeared.